On student loan, the Ministry of Education said the federal government can no longer foot the bill for universities. Can you imagine? So where are you going to get the money to give the loans? Because when you are spending on loan, you are having the cash from somewhere, and you are going to give it to the students to help themselves in school, and they are not going to pay back immediately. They are going to pay after graduation. So is that not tying some capital down? Why not use that same loan to fortify the school system and let the people pay their school fees or manage themselves? Okay. So now you are telling us that you can no longer fund the or foot the bill of universities, and you are giving loan. How can these two things be married together? Yeah? The Ministry of Education has said the federal government can no longer foot the bill for universities. The permanent secretary in the ministry, Andrew David Adejo, said this at a press briefing Wednesday in Abuja, while clarifying the students' loan bill signed into law by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Monday. Introduction of tuition fee is not arising from the act. No, whether we like it or not, the government can no longer foot the bill for universities. That is why we are doing private-public partnership. Okay? Responding to a question on if the act would introduce tuition fees in public institutions, they just said the universities already have autonomy. The autonomy they are yet to have is financial autonomy. It is when they get it that they can answer that question, and the government is working towards that. Now, the permanent secretary said the federal government was working out modalities to begin the disbursement of student loans in September because the president had directed that the first recipient of the loan must be available for the 2023-24 academic section. He said an interministerial committee would be inaugurated on Tuesday to fine-tune the process for students to get the loan within 6 weeks. He explained that the act addressed the purpose of making sure that persons that get the loan pay their tuition fees, saying without meaning to say what the committee set up would do, we don't want to make something that only public school students will benefit from. For now, private schools are paying tuition, so you have to give somebody who is going to private school an opportunity to get and pay tuition. What you have been seeing is the bill that was presented and went through final reading at the House of Representatives, and before Mr. President signs a bill, he looks at it and sends it to relevant ministries and then decides if it is okay and if there are modifications that are necessary. Let us wait to see the act, and you will get the act when it is transmitted to the Ministry of Justice to produce into a gazette, he said. Adejo further explained that there were other fees apart from tuition that could make indigent students need a loan. You can't give someone a loan and say pay tuition without sustaining his school. No, you have to get accommodation. Even if tuition fee in public university is free, you still pay for your accommodation. And the federal government would not give you loan that will not make sure you get in school. Stay in school and graduate, he added. While noting that such scheme had failed in the past, he said the government wanted to learn from the past, adding, we want the current act to learn from the mistake of the past, where there were more defaulters than people that paid. In the past, it is a government money, come and take and go, free money, but that is not going to be the case with this. He, however, assured that the process would be depoliticized and that jobs would be created even though it cannot be created 100%, adding that universities and polytechnics were being redirected to focus on innovation and produce job creators. Can you imagine? So the reason for giving loan is because government can no longer fund the universities anymore. They cannot fund and pay the universities bills anymore. So what are we saying? Are we going to turn the school now to a private school? You are giving loan and you say you cannot fund schools anymore. Why the money you are using to give loan? Why not use it to put the universities in the right shape? And people are ready to pay their school fees and take themselves to school. After stabilizing the condition of the universities and polytechnics and colleges of education, then you can come back to talk about loan. Okay, we are giving students to loan to go and study in a very unconducive environment that you call universities. And now you are coming to tell Nigerians that people have to, you have to give loans that can help students to get through to school. Okay, that even the people in public school, or sorry, in private school or private universities and polytechnics will also have access to the loans, because you have to produce something that everybody can benefit from and not people within government schools alone. So this one now that the bill has been signed into law, and you think people can pay, and you're telling me that, or you're telling us that this has happened in the past and it failed, and this time you are going to do it in a different way to make sure it succeed. This time it's not going to fail. And you're also saying that the student loan will be ready for disbursement by September 2023, because the president said people that will the first beneficiaries of this loan will have to be students of 2023-24 academic session. Okay. So, but the question I'm still asking is, if you cannot pay the bills of universities, how are you going to get money to give these loans? That is the truth. In the past, you said you gave these loans and people collected them without paying back. I say that is not going to be the case this time. People will be tracked, people will be documented to make sure they pay back. Now, when there's no work to do after graduation, for the past 20 years or more, or if not 30 years, we've churned out graduates from universities and polytechnics and colleges of education without giving them jobs. Some ended up being farmers, some ended up being Okada riders, keke riders, Uber riders, and all of that. Some ended up doing jobs of 20,000 naira a month. And these are the people you are going to give loan, with this still happening, you will still hope to give students loan and expect that when they graduate, they'll go back to meet these other unemployed graduates in town, and then you think they will be able to pay back, because you think since it failed in the past, people went away with the money, it's not going to happen again. I think that is a self-deception. It's going to happen over and over and over, because there is no job and there's no business, and the environment is also not conducive for doing private businesses. So it's going to be a big deal. Okay, so telling us that the mistake in the past, you are learning from it and it's not going to happen again, I refuse to accept that. Okay, so this is Mr. Andrew David Adejo from Permanent Secretary to the Ministry of Education, that is telling us that government can no longer fund the universities anymore. They cannot pay the bills of the universities anymore, hence the student loan that they are giving. Now, wow, I doubt if this thing will succeed. This is going to be like traders' money, like end power money that Oshibanjo and Buhari gave, and nobody paid back up to today. And these are the things crumbling our economy. Okay, these are the things crumbling our economy. I don't know how we can continue like this, wasting money like this, up and down, without anything to show for it. And you tell me that this thing will not fail. Difficult to believe. So thank you for listening, and let's have a comment.